All right. Hello. Welcome back to the third post-football podcast. Today, Daniel Harrington joins me all the way from the Cayman Islands. Daniel, how are you?
Good mate, good mate. You know, it's nighttime for me, but I know it's the middle of the day for you. But I'm excited to get this going.
Yeah. We're all over the world. The post-football podcast, based in Sydney and in Grand Cayman. If viewers probably don't know where that is, it's located somewhere in the Caribbean. I'll just give you that much. But yeah. Well, the topics we're covering today, we're looking at the Champions League fixtures, Europa League fixtures, rounding all that off. We'll look at some transfer rumours here and there. I'll touch on Jadon Sancho to United and Jamal Lewis to Liverpool, namely, and also look at what sort of squads in the Premier League need going into next season, which is just around the corner, actually. We'll look at Sarri being sacked at Juventus and maybe look ahead to the Champions League and Europa League fixtures coming up. So, yeah, we'll kick things off with the Champions League games that went on. Man City through to the quarterfinals. Pep Guardiola's team in with a good shout to win the whole thing. What do you reckon?
Yeah, obviously watched the game, and it was a game that was supposed to be like a tactical masterclass, and it had to be from both managers. I think you would agree. And I think it would have been if not for obviously the two big mistakes from Rafael Varane. Um, and that sort of obviously those things happen. It kind of ruins the game. He's admitted to it. It's one of those things. City are through now, and yeah, I would say that they would be one of the favorites. However, they are on the draw side with Bayern Munich, who are actually my favorites to win the whole thing. So it'll just be see if they do actually face each other in the semis. It'll be an interesting match.
Oh, 100%. That'll be Clash of the Titans, that one. I think that's whoever sort of wins that game, I think, definitely the favourites going into the final. But yeah, I think Real Madrid, they greatly missed their captain, Sergio Ramos, who's watching from the sidelines. And I must say, very dapper looking vest, or what's the
Oh
Gareth
yeah,
what do you call it again? The inner piece of the suit,
the
the half,
waistcoat.
the waistcoat. Yeah, he looking very fine, I must say, on the touchline. But yeah, no, I think they missed his leadership uh, in the game greatly. People were talking about coming into the game, whether like who's going to lead them at the back, and Militao, they were questioning him coming into the game. Is he going to be able to fit in? But I thought he did his job just fine, and it was actually Varane who really sort of lost in the game. And yeah, the World Cup winner, you wouldn't expect it from him, but yeah, obviously he came out. He said after the game, the loss is on me, and I guess rightly so in the end. But Real Madrid, I thought they didn't play too badly. They created a few chances, maybe on another day without Varane's mistakes. Benzema has a few half chances here and there. He scores a wonderful header in the first half to bring it level to 1-1 on the night. Rodrigo, a great piece of wing play on the sideline on the right. Great cross. Benzema meets it well, sends it across the other way. Edison with no chance, and I guess that sort of pointed out City's weaknesses throughout the whole season down that left side at left back and in central defence, which we'll come to later on in the show about what they need heading into next season if they want to, challenge Liverpool all the way and for the title. But yeah, I thought City, I think they deserve to go through, especially after going to the Bernabeu all those months before putting up 2 away goals. So I think that Guardiola will be rearing them on for the rest of the competition.
I do want to say though, I think, and I'd like to hear your opinion on it too. When I was looking at Eden Hazard during the game, I think he had some good moments. There's some good shots. I can remember one specifically. It was low, and Ederson made a good save. But do you think maybe it was a risk starting him, considering there was questions about his fitness and the injury going into the game? Do you think it was the right call to start him, or maybe they should have been starting? I think Vinicius, or is Vinicius injured? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if Vinicius was injured going into the game either, but well, if he was, I guess you can see why they would play Hazard instead. But
Yeah.
yeah, if Vinicius was fit, I guess I don't know if I would have started him because he didn't do all too much in the game. A few bright sparks here and there. As you mentioned, he had that shot that Edison saves down low. Edison actually catches it, which I thought was a great save from him. He had a few bright moments. He played that outside the foot pass, which Benzema sort of turns the City defenders really well and creates an opening shot, which Edison also saves down low. The shot was quite central, to be fair, in the end. But definitely, like this season, Hazard, I thought, sort of a bit non-existent. I mean, his season's just been disrupted with injuries and whatnot. But maybe in
fitness as well. Showed up overweight.
Yeah. So I guess Zidane wasn't playing Gareth Bale over him, so
no.
Yeah, that's a whole another thing. I guess we can touch on that now. Zidane coming out in his press conference before the match saying that he talked to Bale before travelling over and he preferred not to play, apparently. So I don't know what you make of that. I certainly think that a professional footballer, even with the whole, history behind Gareth Bale and Real Madrid and all the supporters getting on his back and everything, I think as a professional footballer, you can't be doing that. I don't know what you think.
Well, I definitely think that Madrid should be finding him a significant portion of his wages if this is the way he's trying to go about it. Not that I don't like Gareth Bale. I do think he's a good player on his day, but like you said, any player who does this sort of thing should be. I mean, you could make a case for not paying him at all, really. And for a contract that's 67 million pounds that still needs to be paid out. Yeah, I mean, I'm questioning why Madrid haven't been doing that, but I've also understood that Gareth Bale only wants to go back to the Premier League. The question being now is what Premier League side with that amount of money at their disposal would actually pay that amount of money for someone who's barely played in the last 2 years. Although he is a good talent, it's hard to justify.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's his wages that he's going to have to take a pay cut wherever he goes from this point. I guess the teams that spring to mind who would pay his wages would be United, although they're sort of getting back on track for the first time in a while of making good signings in the transfer market. I don't think Bale would be necessarily the smartest choice at the moment. As you mentioned, not playing for like the last 2 years consistently. And I think since the restart, he's only played or made one appearance or something in the last 12 games. So, I mean, you can see his heart's not in it with the title celebrations that Real Madrid had. He was on the bench, sort of just looking like him. I mean, when he plays,
Ashley Cole-esque.
Yes, Ashley Cole-esque. Oh, jeez. But when he's playing for Wales, he's into it and he's on form. But even with the Euros, I think that's next year, summertime. They certainly want him getting some minutes in his legs at least, so he can play to his full potential. And I don't think he's going to get that if he stays at Real Madrid another season.
Yeah, I think ideally you'd have to look at Spurs and say, if they can get him on a cut deal on his contract, you'd take the risk, wouldn't you?
I think it would be definitely be a good option for them. I mean, with how they've been playing at the moment, they definitely need an injection of pace in their squad up front. I mean, look at it, the Spurs front line at the moment. You've got Son and Kane. Son, obviously, you've got the pace with him. Lucas Moura has sort of been out of favour a bit. So I guess if Gareth Bale comes in, he adds that pace to the squad that they desperately need. And if he plays off of Harry Kane as well, I think that could be a dangerous combination for them. But Tottenham with Daniel Levy, it hasn't really, it's not a Spurs-like signing, is it? But I guess previously he's played at the club, so there may be some sort of, will for him to come back there. And if he wants to play in the Premier League, that's looking, I guess, like the most likely route at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. I guess you're right. They did just build this stadium, so money will be a bit tight, especially with COVID. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see if Bale actually gets shipped on, or if he decides to stay for the next, is it 2 years? I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame. He's such a fantastic player that he's just sort of, I don't know if you say wasted the last sort of 2 years because he's won all those titles as well, coming up with important goals. In the finals of the Champions League as well, he scores those 2 against Liverpool. 2 years ago now? He pops up with very important goals in important matches, which is why it's sort of, I don't know why he would say he prefers not to play when it's the Champions League. All these players at the professional level, it's the top level of football that you want to be playing at. It brings great question marks into his attitude as well, which will have to change quickly if clubs are, trying to purchase him as well, and if he wants to play next season. So,
yep, 100% agree.
Yeah. Well, that said, for Bale, we'll move on to the next match in the Champions League, which was
Juventus.
Lyon against Juventus. Lyon going through on the away goals rule. I guess two sort of penalties that shouldn't have been penalties in the match. But I guess if you look at the big picture, I think Juventus didn't do enough to go through. What did you make of that match?
Yeah, I think when you look at that match as a whole, obviously Lyon came with a mindset, and obviously get the goal was big, and they got it. But the next part, the hardest part, was doing the defensive work. And I'd say you could argue for the most part they did the defensive work quite well. Like you said, harsh penalty, and no one's saving that second Ronaldo goal. It's just an absolute belter. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you do have to take your hats off to Lyon for that one. When it comes to Juventus, I mean, Ronaldo did pretty much all you could expect from Ronaldo, right? Popped up with 2 goals. He needed a little bit more help from the Juventus teammates, and it just wasn't there. They're just a bit off it, and it's cost them.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I mean, sort of paints a picture of their season, in my opinion. Obviously, they've won the Serie A, even though that's sort of a given for them now, in the domestic sphere of things. But really, the whole season, Ronaldo and Dybala, and I guess you could throw Szczesny in there, they've been the bright sparks of that squad. I don't think you can really say anyone has really shown on a consistent basis, at least throughout the season, in that Juventus squad, what they can do. You think of the midfield, Aaron Ramsey that they signed hasn't really done much for them. Those sorts of signings, I think they made, it was at Rabiot as well from PSG. He hasn't done much either. So that squad really needs a revamp of players if they're going to challenge for the Champions League next season. And obviously they're going to build that squad around Ronaldo, who has 2 years left on his deal at Juventus. There were talks of him potentially going to PSG, but that looks unlikely. I think he's going to stay at Juve and try to win that European title with them. But on the night, Lyon did enough to go through, in my opinion, and it's congratulations to them. We're talking about Juventus not doing enough, but I don't think we pay enough respects to Lyon, who have made the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And who knows how long, I don't know off the top of my head, since they made it this far in European competition. But
I mean, they face City next, so good luck.
Yeah.
But I think that City will be about as far as they make it.
Yeah, I think so too. But do you think that a one-legged tie suits Lyon or City more? If you're looking
definitely Lyon. If you're looking at it from everyone says on a one-off game, that's the perfect storm, right, for Lyon to either snatch a late winner or snatch an early winner, and and that's what this tournament has been, not obviously set up to do, but that's what's happened, and that's why I really also like Atalanta's chances on the other side of the bracket. One-off games, they score goals, and I know they're not great defensively, but if they keep scoring the way they're scoring, they could definitely make the final.
Yeah, no, we've seen it countless times over the years, the big upsets in the Champions League, obviously last year with Liverpool knocking out Barcelona in semi-finals, and the other semi-final leg of Tottenham and Ajax. I don't think we need to tell you what happened in those again, but I mean, if you're looking at the City-Lyon game, if you look at City's past Champions League campaigns over the years, defensively, their individual errors have cost them dearly, and they're yet to prove. I mean, against Real Madrid, they sort of proved that, we're here, we're not going to make those sort of mistakes again. Guardiola leaving Otamendi and Stones out again, who I guess have been the primary suspects of those individual errors over the years. But they still have to prove themselves in these late stages of the Champions League. So I guess it's definitely something Guardiola has come out and said in his press conferences, like, if we want to make it far in Europe and if we want to actually win this competition, we have to cut out these sort of individual errors in defence. And I guess in a one-off game, if that's what they're focusing on, they can sort of let their attack speak for themselves, because I guess that's what they're best at. So if they concentrate on not making individual errors in these big games, I think that they're definitely one of the favourites to win this competition.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say, I think maybe we can just go through the next couple Champions League games quickly, because they weren't actually that big, if you will say. Like what happened was what everyone was predicting, and so if we talk quickly on Bayern and Chelsea, like I said before, Bayern for me favorites to win the whole thing. It's a pretty Bayern performance, goals coming from Lewandowski. He's also setting up the other two. And Chelsea just not got the squad depth, and the squad's just not good enough to compete at the higher levels of Europe, and it showed. And I guess same could be said for Napoli versus Barcelona.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. Going to the Bayern Chelsea game, Lewandowski running the show again. I mean, what a player he is! Just absolutely, just a joy to watch. And I think he's definitely the best player in Europe right now. If they hadn't cancelled the Ballon d'Or voting, I think he should win it. He should have won it if they were voting for that still. Just a dominant performance, and I guess it shows, like you said, Chelsea's lack of squad depth and European sort of experience over the last couple of seasons. Made it very far into Champions League campaigns, but I think it's what everyone expected, really. No one really gave Chelsea a chance going into the game, and it was sort of a good warm-up for Bayern going into the quarterfinals against Barcelona. Again, Barcelona in the first half against Napoli, very dominant. Goals from Messi and Suarez. I think it was Messi. Did he score a brace? Was it 3-0 in the first half? I mean, I guess they showed what they can do when they get it together. I don't think Griezmann had a bad game either. So if that sort of Barcelona team shows up against Bayern, we could be in for a very tasty affair.
But it's as you said before the call, though. Barca haven't been killing off teams recently, and that may come back to hurt them in the quarterfinal leg against Bayern.
Yeah, no, definitely. And in the second half, Barcelona sort of had a chance to really put the foot on the throat of Napoli, and they didn't really take that chance. In the end, Napoli sort of working their way back into the game a bit, not creating too many opportunities for themselves. I think it's Lorenzo Insigne equalizes from the penalty spot. He did hit the post, actually. It was I think about just like 2 minutes into the game in the first half as well. But they also scored a header, which was ruled off for offside, rightly so by the VAR too. Barcelona. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of team shows up, but with Messi in your squad, everyone keeps saying it, you do never know. But I guess we can't really overlook. Bayern won't be underestimating Barcelona going into the tie either. They are, European, very experienced in Europe. So
it's
you
Barcelona.
Exactly. You got PK, you got all those experienced players, Rakitic, Messi, of course, Suarez. So don't write them off.
Yeah, exactly. And that that midfield is pretty not too bad either. Busquets and Frankie De Jong.
Exactly. Yeah. So going into Bayern Barcelona, I guess it'll be. Is it next Saturday? The games, or next Friday night? It'll be in Europe Saturday morning. I think it's 5 a.m. bright and early. But we'll preview those games for our viewers, which isn't many at the moment, but hopefully more soon to come in the week. But should we? We'll touch back on Juventus Sarri has been sacked after only one season in Turin. I guess it was sort of expected. What do you make of the situation at the moment?
Well, I think Juventus would be similar to your PSGs and your Bayern Munichs of their respective leagues, right? Um, they're expected to win the league every season, and I'd say that they're expected to win their domestic cup competitions, which they didn't do this year. They lost out to Napoli in the Coppa Italia, I believe.
Yeah.
And so what we do see a lot of the times is a sort of conveyor belt of new managers coming in, never really winning the Champions League, but always winning the league and the domestic cups. But like we said before, Sarri, yes, he won the league, but the Juventus team is quite clearly better than every other team in the Serie A. So it's not a hard thing to do to win the league. And they didn't they didn't make it easy on themselves during the season as well. So I think that accumulation of not winning the domestic cup, then getting knocked out by Lyon in the Champions League, which they really shouldn't have done. They are a far superior team to Lyon. It was obvious that it was going to happen. Juventus want to be pushing to actually win the whole thing, not get knocked out in the round of or is it the quarterfinals? Yeah, or is it the round of 16? Yeah, round of 16. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think obviously it was just unacceptable. And now Pirlo comes in 9 days after being named the under 23 manager. Now he's the first team manager.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what to say about that because I haven't seen anything of him as a manager. I mean, obviously he's got his badges and all that, but it will be very interesting to see how he starts next season, and that'll really show you how he means to go on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything what you just said. It is, interesting how after just being named under 23s coach, Pirlo is now Juventus manager. And, yeah, he hasn't had much, if any, managerial experience at the top level.
Yeah.
Not that I could recall. But yeah, it is a strange one, especially the call has come so soon as well after Sarri's been sacked. There were obviously you've got Pochettino, who's not managing at the moment, who I thought could have been a good option for them. Filippo Inzaghi was rumored with the job too. Roberto Mancini, who's proven in Italy and in England as well, winning the title in 2012 with Man City.
Eddie Howe.
Yeah, yes, Sean Dyche, Ginger.
Nigel Pearson.
Oh, jeez. Yes. Yeah. You made me lose my point with that. But
No, just yeah, go for it.
yeah, I guess Sarri, we sort of knew he was going to be sacked after the performance of Juventus this season. They've been a bit lackluster. The only real bright sparks, as we mentioned before, Ronaldo, Dybala. You could throw Szczesny in there. I even thought when they signed De Ligt and Sarri's the manager, Sarri's not the most defensive-minded coach, I would say. Would you agree with that? Tend to agree.
Yeah, I'd agree. But he's not like he's been like awful defensively. He's
Yeah.
still been relatively good, and it's just Delict was a surprise, that's for sure.
Yeah, what I was gonna say was, Sarri's sort of style, the Sarri ball, possession-based game that he sort of, you know, implemented at Napoli in his Napoli days when he had them playing some great football. Obviously, Jorginho, who's now at Chelsea, who he signed for when he was at Chelsea as well. They got things ticking there as well. Obviously, did a great job at Napoli. Didn't win anything though, it has to be said. So I thought it was a strange decision by Juventus to bring him in the first place. At the club when obviously they've signed Ronaldo, they have these big ambitions of trying to win Europeans elite competition, the Champions League. So yeah, now it's up to Pirlo, I guess, to come in and
Well, he's got Arthur coming in from Barcelona, so that will be an interesting one. If he can sort of mold him in that midfield, we could see a much better forward like attacking Juventus if that midfield can sort itself out.
yeah, exactly, and that's what they need. They need that sort of spark in the squad to ignite them. I think they have a lack of pace in the squad
Yeah,
too. I mean, Ronaldo is still quick, but he's sort of converted more to the central, playing as striker. He's not on the wing as much anymore. He's coming through the middle, and players we've seen Dybala play off of him this season to good effect. They definitely need an injection of pace in that squad. Douglas Costa, you could, opt for him to play as well. He's quite
he's kicking on in age.
exactly, and he wasn't really in favour. For Sarri, I think he's had an injury-riddled season too, so it's going to be
Higuain.
Higuain. Yes. I think, I don't know if they're even looking to ship him on, but obviously he's not the quickest of players, to say the least.
No, I think when we're looking at where they need a little bit more pace is definitely the core of the team. They're right down the middle. Obviously Ronaldo is fast, but the midfield's not very quick, and their center halves aren't very quick either. So it's just sorry ball was always going to be difficult if you didn't really have the pace to play it.
Yeah, that's why just looking at it, I guess hindsight is a wonderful thing, but looking at it, it was
Yeah.
never really a great fit. Looking at it from the start, but
No.
yeah,
It was the attractive football that made the Juventus board come in and try to get him, because obviously Napoli did play great football under Sarri, but it's a job fit, right? And Sarri just wasn't the right fit.
no, and who knows where next for Sarri. I mean, not the greatest few last couple. I mean, he's won trophies. He's won the Serie A. He's won the Europa League with Chelsea. He hasn't been bad per se, but definitely
Probably the French league, to be honest.
yeah, that's a good shout for him. That's something I think he could end up there. But yeah, Maurizio Sarri being shipped on by Juventus. We'll move on. We'll look at some transfer rumors now, and what you wanted to cover, what sort of the teams. I guess we can look over Europe or in the Premier League, focus on what they need going into the next season to challenge for trophies. So we'll start with the main transfer rumors at the moment. I guess you can say it hasn't been, it's not going to be the most active window with the coronavirus. Funds are down for many clubs, understandably, this season. But we'll start with your team, Manchester. Main rumor, or not even a rumor at the moment, they're trying to go for him. Jadon Sancho. Dortmund have set, 100 million price tag. Do you think he's worth that tag?
That's. Do I think anyone is worth 100 million? No, but I think we have to look at football's market where Neymar is going for 230 million.
Maguire.
So, I mean, it's hard, right? Because he's English, so he'd technically be a homegrown player, which teams really be looking for. So I mean, I guess the real answer is Jadon Sancho worth 100 million to Manchester United? Probably yes. But to anyone looking from the outside, is he worth 100 million pounds? No, probably not. He's too young. He hasn't done enough. He's a great player, but he is what they need. Dortmund know that, and so obviously Dortmund don't have to sell, so it's up to United to actually get the price right.
Yeah, no, you said it right. What is it? Dortmund is set the 10th. Was it the 10th of August as the deadline? I don't know if that will be.
Yeah, from what I believe, that's not actually true. It's more paper talk. Dortmund. I've been reading a lot on the Italian journalist Fabrizio. Is it Morano or something like that? And he was saying there is no deadline. United could sign him at the end of the deal because Dortmund are obviously looking at Memphis Depay.
Yeah, I think it was just Dortmund sort of saying, this deadline, August 10th, which is tomorrow, well, 2 days' time in Europe, because they obviously need time to plan for who they're going to replace him with. You mentioned Memphis Depay, which be, solid signing for them. He's in his prime at the moment. They're getting something that they know they know the player will. He's sort of similar to Sancho, can provide that sort of threat going forward with his pace and finish. But it's sort of in the Dortmund mold. We've seen it over the years. They sell on their best players, and we've seen it with Aubameyang,
Dembele.
Pulisic, previous season Dembele. It's what Dortmund are going to do. So he's going to leave eventually. I think it will be this summer, and it's what United, as you mentioned, need. I think he slots in straight away into that United team, and I would love him at Liverpool, but I think he wouldn't get front three at the moment. He'd definitely be pushing them for a spot in there, and if one would get injured or anything, he'd slot right in straight away. But the thing is, I mean, with United, he'll get all the game time in the world. If he goes to Liverpool, he's not going to get that game time, but there probably is that more of a chance, I think I'm right in saying, of getting more trophies. So I think he'd prefer the game time. And with United, the way they're going, they look like they're on an upwards curve at the moment. So I guess United is probably the best fit for him.
I definitely agree. I think if you're looking to sign for a team who's going to win you trophies a lot more soon, like obviously Liverpool, I still expect them to win trophies next year. It'll be hard to tell, how it's going to go for United because we are quite young. Say in 4 seasons, so when Sancho's 24, I think 23, 24. It might be that we're in with a great shot of winning trophies because of players like him. So it's hard to I think for him, he wants to join. I think we're the only team that's really going to pay the money. And I think he will add that quality, which can push us a higher level, with Fernandes.
Yeah.
And who knows, Pogba might even leave. But I don't think it's actually going to be that much of a loss if Pogba does leave. But, we'll see. I think for us, mainly, we more need a left fullback. As much as Luke Shaw's not really been terrible this season, I'm still not his biggest fan. And Brandon Williams is, young and promising, but he's still quite raw. So I definitely say a fullback. We definitely need a holding midfielder because as much as Matic has had a good season, he is old. And Fred did have a good start to the season, but ever since coronavirus come back, he's not looked that great. So I think definitely replacing them too, and McTominay, a good option off the bench, would be in high order, plus a centre half to pair up with Maguire. Because if we have a better centre half than we do now paired up with Maguire, I think Maguire gets even better. So it's just, are we actually going to make 4 signings this window? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see for that. I guess that sort of segues into what we were going to talk about as well, how teams can improve for next season. That will sort of link in with the transfer rumours as well. So we'll stay on that topic. We'll continue with United, I guess. You mentioned left fullback. You said Luke Shaw's, he hasn't been performing too badly, but, we all know he's quite injury prone as well. Brandon Williams, he's left back as well, coming up. What have you made of him? Do you think he could sort of fill those shoes? Or do you think they need to bring someone in if, you're pushing for trophies next season of a higher caliber, maybe Ben Chilwell? But he's also been linked with Chelsea, so...
Yeah, I personally don't think Chilwell would be the one for us, and I agree. I don't think Brandon Williams is going to be the left fullback that's going to, next season be the reason that we're winning trophies or anything like that. It's hard, right, because there aren't actually that many good fullbacks kicking around right now. So obviously, I think one main one would be Alex Telles from Porto, but I don't even know if we're interested in him. I know some other clubs are, but he would be a good one. I'd love to say Alphonso Davies, but that's not going to happen.
Not if mine win the Champions League. I don't think.
No. And I'm not trying to say that we are going to sign him, but then you look at some of the Norwich fullbacks, even the ones that Liverpool are trying to sign. They're not bad themselves.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Jamal Lewis, Liverpool have had a 10 million pound, I think pounds, not sure, sterling, whatever that currency, I'm not sure. I think it was 10 million in that currency, was rejected by Norwich. They want 20 million. There's also talks of Larouci, who's come through the Liverpool academy. He could be included in the deal. He wants to go elsewhere. He's obviously, he knows he's not going to get that game time with Robertson in front of him as well. Also James Milner, who can fill in at left back for Liverpool. But I think it's a deal that will go through in the end. Just has to be negotiated, and we'll see what the outcome is. Maybe there's going to be add-ons as well. Maybe that's how the deal will get done. But I think from what I've heard, Jamal Lewis hasn't, he's performed pretty well last season, despite Norwich being relegated. Defensively they were quite shocking, but I don't think he can take all the blame for that. He's more of an attacking fullback, and the way Norwich play, they use their fullbacks as how Liverpool play, as like sort of their main creators going forward. So he fits the Liverpool mould. He's left-footed. Thank goodness Liverpool need a backup left-footed left back. James Milner, he does a good job filling in, but he always has to cut in onto his right, and definitely doesn't pose the attacking threat that Robertson does with his pace and his left foot with crossing in that sense. So it's definitely something we need. And yeah, I'd be happy for him to join the club. And I don't know what your take is on it.
Personally, I don't see anything wrong with this deal. I don't see why this doesn't go through. It seems like it would suit both parties very well. Yeah, and it also gives, you said Lazzari, how do you say his name?
Larouci.
Larouci. I'm getting mixed up with the fullback at Ajax.
Yeah.
But, you look at Norwich, and they do have some good defenders, and Tim Krul did pretty well during the season. They Max Aarons at right back, and Ben Godfrey in the middle as well. And it's not like they were horrible, but what was in front of them was the problem areas, and you get attacked as much as they got attacked. They're going to concede a lot of goals, no matter how good you are. And that's what's happened, right? So, like you said, he would be a great backup, and I think there will be a few more people coming in for some of those Norwich defenders.
Yeah, no, you said it, and as you mentioned, Norwich didn't get help from their midfield in terms of defending the way they played. They never really set up to be, tactically astute and, compact at the back, which was ultimately why they were relegated. They didn't really give themselves the best chance of staying up in the Premier League, in my opinion. But players will be swooping around, or teams, I should say, will be swooping around for those Norwich City players. Jamal Lewis, we've already seen. Max Aarons at right back. What's his name? Todd Cantwell is another one, although he's a local boy. Godfrey, Wendia as well. All these players.
Yep.
I don't think Norwich will necessarily want to sell all of those players on, but definitely a few to keep them financially. Well, they're financially stable at the moment. They didn't spend a great deal coming into the Premier League, so.
Yeah.
But a few of their players that teams in the Premier League will definitely be looking at to bolster their squads, and obviously they're not going to be all too expensive with Norwich being relegated and the coronavirus, the pandemic at the moment. So the asking prices of these players won't be as much as they would be if the pandemic was not on.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And I think another interesting transfer that maybe we could touch on is Willian.
Yes.
On a free to Arsenal. And also Højbjerg to Tottenham, but I think Willian is a bit more interesting.
Willian, he's 30, I think he's 31, but he turns 32 in a couple of days. So he's 32, we'll just say. And I think he'd be a good fit for Arsenal, a good player to add to their squad with his Premier League experience. Arsenal want him on a 2-year deal. He wants 3 years, which I don't think Arsenal would want that, because he'd be 35 by the time he finishes up there. But in saying that, he still looks very fit. He's very sharp. He's still extraordinarily quick. His acceleration.
Still chipping in with goals and assists as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's been in that Chelsea squad, a big part of the Chelsea squad that finished in that Champions League spot this season or last season, I should say. Excuse me. Um, but he's still as fit as a fiddle, and I think that he'd be a good fit for Arsenal. What do you reckon?
Does that mean he replaces Pepe,
Well, I think
the 72 million pound man?
surely they have to give Pepe more of a chance, paying 72 million pounds.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Willian. Well, they are both right-sided players. Maybe they're going to push Willian onto the left. I'm not sure. I think it works with Aubameyang. That's going to be a very fast front three. I do have probably an unpopular opinion with Arsenal fans. I don't know how you feel about it though.
Here we go.
I don't see why Arsenal don't sell Lacazette. Personally, I don't know if you agree. I don't think he's actually that. He's not terrible, but I don't think he's great. I don't think he's gonna. He's the. You don't think he's shown that in the Premier League he can really cut it for a team that's trying to push for top four, especially with the amount of goals he scored this season. Nowhere near enough. And I think if a team came in with enough money, I think they should sell, and they could find a better replacement. I know they have a bromance with Aubameyang, but I don't think that's extremely important in this situation. And I think that selling them on might actually help them buy some players that they need more than they need Lacazette.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, Lacazette, he's chipped in here and there. I have to say with his goals, he hasn't been, that bad. he's been good, but there's definitely better options if they sell him on for a decent price to improve elsewhere in their squad, which is what they need to do. Going forward, attacking wise, especially if they're bringing Willian in, that'll give them more options. You've also got Martinelli coming through the ranks. He can play up front too. You can play Aubameyang through the middle. And you also got the likes of Saka coming through as well. So if you want to give more of these players a chance up front, you're going to have to offload, one of these senior players eventually. And I think now would be a good time to sell Lacazette. Is he, 28, 29, even 30 years old?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be a good time to sell him on for a good price and then, improve elsewhere in the squad. So, defensively, go on.
I was gonna say, I'd say when we look at how much Arsenal actually paid for him at the time, I just want to see how much it was because I can't actually remember. If you remember,
I can't remember off the top of my head.
it's 50 million pounds. I mean, he's won one FA Cup.
One or two, yeah.
I'd argue, 2017. So he's won one FA Cup. I'd argue that he's been a bit of a letdown. Overall, maybe all the seasons he's been here, I think Arsenal fans probably were expecting more from him, and I think it would, like you said, I think it's a good time to maybe sell him on.
Yeah, I don't think Arsenal supporters would be too upset if they let him go. You still have Aubameyang as well, which is your best player. So,
he's always going to start over Lacazette.
Yeah, and I mean, even having Lacazette and Aubameyang, they don't start together all the time anyway. So there's obviously something there that I guess Emery. I don't know if has Arteta been playing them together more often or.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
So I think
he
does tend to start with Aubameyang.
Yeah, there's something there that they recognise we can't play these two together. It's disrupting the way they play or whatever. So it wouldn't be the worst to offload that. And his way, I'm sure he's on ridiculous wages as well. That would save them money on the wage bill too, where they can invest in younger players, which seems to be the mold as well. What Arteta wants to do, bring those players in. So leaves room for that, especially with the pandemic as well. Tough times financially for some clubs. So I don't see why not. It'd be a good time to sell.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on Højbjerg going to Tottenham.
I did see that the other day. I thought, geez, Tottenham have really dropped off if they're interested in Højbjerg. That's the sort of caliber of player. I'm sorry, Tottenham fans, if any of you are listening, but I think we mentioned it on previous podcasts. from where Tottenham were reaching the Champions League final, they had that chance to really push on and sign
Oh yeah.
top quality players. You reach the Champions League final, players all over Europe are going to go, oh, Tottenham, they're on the up. I want to go there. They have Champions League football. They're going to be pushing
Champions League finalists.
Champions League finalists. Yeah, they're going to be pushing in all fronts in every competition they play in. So Tottenham had the chance to really sign some more players that would improve their squad. But I guess I was drawing the comparison with Liverpool, which could be a bit unfair in some regards because we reached the Champions League final before and we actually won the competition. But if you look at our signings, the year before we won the Champions League, we signed Van Dijk and Alisson, proven top quality players that we know what you're going to get from them. And if you look at who Tottenham signed after the Champions League final, after losing it, they go and sign, is it Ndombele, Lo Celso, who are good players, but definitely not proven at the top level. And it was a massive gamble from them, especially with Eriksen leaving too. It was just, the wheels really fell off, and they were falling off before the Champions League final as well. Their form wasn't all too great domestically either, but Højbjerg, we go back to him. I've just gone on a whole whirlwind of Tottenham just there.
It's all good. Tottenham hater over here.
I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible and call it how it is.
No, I agree.
That's what I've sort of gathered from everything I've looked at from the media as well. But yeah, being interested in Højbjerg, he's a good player. I mean, he's Premier League proven. Southampton have had a good season. I'm not sure how involved he's been in. He's the captain, isn't he?
I'm not sure. It might be Ward-Prowse.
Could be Ward-Prowse, but he's definitely one of the senior players who's been there for a longer time in that squad. So at this level, definitely something Mourinho is looking for. Is his sort of player, that defensive-minded midfielder, which Tottenham, I guess, have been lacking in recent. So
it'll definitely bring stability to the midfield, which has been quite unstable recently. I mean, the fact that Eric Dyer is still getting into the team and sometimes playing in center half is sort of a testament to how far they've fallen in just one season. But, if you're looking at Ndombele, it seems like he's fallen out with Mourinho. He wants to leave. And Lo Celso, while he's been good, it's been a little bit of a letdown as well. So I think Højbjerg is a smart signing if you're looking for a squad player, but he's not the type of player that you're thinking like, this guy's going to change our season. He's going to make our midfield a whole lot better. I could be wrong, and he could be absolutely sensational, but just looking on past performances at Southampton, he's tidy, he's good, he does the defensive work. I just don't think he's not going to have a massive impact.
No. I mean, looking back at it, it's sort of a Spurs signing in a way, I think. And if you look at some of the previous campaigns, they've signed the likes of Victor Wanyama, defensive midfield, who I think was a bit more of a prospect than Højbjerg was, but also from Southampton as well. It's that sort of player that they're bringing in, which I guess is going to help in terms of a squad player, but it's not going to really help to take them to that next level, which is what United are doing right now in the transfer market with Sancho, although given United have a lot more, transfer budget
resources. Yeah.
I guess decent signing for them. Not too much to say on it, really. I mean,
the only thing I would say is if I'm Tottenham, I'd be looking more at trying to replace Christian Eriksen.
Yeah.
Because they do miss him, and his creativity in the midfield has been missed, especially in the last since COVID broke out. So I think that should be their main focus, which is why maybe Gareth Bale. I don't know.
Well, the way Tottenham play as well under Mourinho, I guess Gareth Bale will be good for the counter-attacking sort of style, which I guess the Spurs fans will be having. Well, we're gonna have to get used to that sort of thing under Mourinho. United had it for a bit, but it's going to be interesting to see what else they do in this window, because the squad they have at the moment, if they have that for another season, Harry Kane is going to probably going to be wanting to looking to go elsewhere if they don't show sort of any ambition in the transfer market either. So, yeah, we've touched on how Tottenham, well, we sort of know how they can improve. They need to add pace to their squad up front. Definitely in midfield, you mentioned that creativity, not replacing Christian Eriksen. They really need an overhaul of that squad. I mean, even defensively, Toby Alderweireld and Vertonghen getting on a bit in age as well. Also,
Vertonghen's just left, right?
Yeah, his contract has expired, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
they've got Davinson Sanchez in there maybe to replace him, but he hasn't been all too promising either. So you look at the right back position, Serge Aurier. He's been very inconsistent and more poor performances than good performances, it has to be said. Left back Ben Davies, he's been all right, but even then, it's average all over, isn't it?
It is, yeah. They really. I mean, Lloris is decent enough, but the defense, it's the same as Chelsea and Arsenal, and I don't think we're going to go into like who they should buy, but Chelsea and Arsenal, they need to overhaul their defense too. It's a problem in London right now.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what's going on there. They like bringing in attacking players and just disregarding the defense for years. I mean, I'm not complaining, but yeah, I guess, do we want to just quickly touch on a few of the other top Premier League sides and what they can do to go into next season to improve upon? We'll go to the London clubs, I guess. Chelsea, they've shown their ambitions, signing Timo Werner, and who else have they brought in so far? It's Ziyech from Ajax.
Looking like they're going to bring in what's his name from Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, Havertz, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, they're wonderful signings. And just before, sorry to cut you off, I'll just add that it's very much like Chelsea to sign these sort of players with their backing from Abramovich. And what Lampard has done, bringing up the youth from their academy and stuff, I think they're sort of in danger signing all these top quality players of having to send all their top quality academy players back out on loan again. I mean, like, they're coming through the ranks, like Mason Mount. I think he's played like around 50 games this season. I think it's the most for an academy graduate from Chelsea ever, or something like that, or like first time in a very long time. And like, look at Reece James. I think that although they'll be great squad players, it's going to sort of disrupt their progress as coming into the first team. I don't know what you make of it.
I mean, I agree, because I think if Chelsea do end up signing Havertz, and then all of a sudden your front three is completely different, you know, Werner, Ziyech, and Havertz, you do run the risk of having what happened to United. Sorry, they signed Depay, Falcao, Di Maria all around the same time. Well, not Memphis Depay, but the Di Maria, Falcao, those types of players, and they didn't work out. And if Chelsea's new front three don't work out, that's a serious chunk of money wasted. And if they start the season with either Christensen or Zuma or Rudiger at the back, I think Chelsea fans should be fuming.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the signings they've made, they definitely have youth or the age on their side, so there's time for them to adapt. And I think they will be given time, also given the price tags as well. So I think that Frank Lampard definitely it's not a bad dilemma to have.
No.
But definitely defense is where they need to address if they want to make that next step and close the gap between Liverpool
and
City.
And goalkeeper.
I think Lampard's made it clear that Kepa is not going to be the number one anymore. Chelsea, playing Caballero in the last game of the season, which was an important game for them, needing to beat Wolves on the final day to really ensure that they would make the Champions League. Also against Bayern Munich, he plays Caballero in
the Cup final.
So yeah, Kepa's being phased out. I think we know that. those signs are clear. Who do you think they can bring in defensively in terms of goalkeeper and defense?
Well, I mean, obviously there's talks of them trying to sign Dean Henderson, but I don't think United are stupid enough to let him go. If you believe what you read, apparently all black, but surely that's too much money for Chelsea to be spending.
Especially just after a transfer ban.
So if I'm looking realistic in the Premier League, why not go out and sign Nick Pope?
Yeah. That looks like a reasonable goalkeeper to bring in.
Yeah, especially from the Prem with experience. And then in defense, that's a tough one, man. Like, Tomori's good, but they definitely need a partner for him.
Vertonghen?
No, I don't think Vertonghen would go. I think honestly he might even go back to Ajax. Who knows if he hasn't done already? But it's a weird one to call because I don't know if they can actually sign any center backs in the Premier League itself because I don't know if teams are going to be willing to sell. Yeah. So they definitely have to be doing some recruiting abroad. And at this point, I don't really know. And I think the only one that I've heard of coming out of France, at least, is that Brazilian. I think he's Brazilian defender from Lille, who's been linked with United and Arsenal. Something like that.
Yeah, his name's. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. It's the centre back market is kind of in a weird place as well because they're all a lot of the good ones are tied down for a long time, and there hasn't been enough people coming through and proving their worth.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Soyuncu maybe.
Soyuncu, a good shout. I don't know if Leicester would want to get obviously they don't want to get rid of him either, but maybe if the right amount of money comes through as well, they'd be willing to sell. I mean, I think if I'm right in saying Thiago Silva's contract is running out at PSG.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
I don't know if they will. I don't know if they can afford his wages. I would assume so, being Chelsea. But I don't. Yeah, again, I don't know where all this money is coming from to pay for players. But yeah, Ben Chilwell is rumored to go there as well. I think that's something.
Okay.
Both parties. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say as a note, apparently Leicester said that Ben Chilwell would have to be the most expensive defender in the world for them to sell.
So you can already looking at 80+ million for that, which is I don't think Ben Chilwell is worth that. The market is it's ridiculous, and even amongst COVID times where teams are tight for money. Not all teams, we know how rich these clubs are in world football, but the market is inflated greatly. And I think we can sort of blame Man City in a way for that, paying 40 million for Nathan Ake. And also you can say United with Sancho for 100 million, although I think Sancho, if any team was going for him, they'd be asking for 100 million. So
yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's necessarily United's fault. I do think I think that there just does come United does come with an extra 20 million to any transfer if that's the way of saying it, just because of how big we are and teams think that they can get a bit more out of us because we are massive and have loads of money. But yeah, I was kind of hoping that COVID would make the market and the money in football a little less so the transfers aren't as ridiculous, but it, like you said, the train just seems to be rolling.
Yeah.
So I guess I was gonna say, I guess the only other team that we could really touch on will be City, right?
Yeah, we'll move to them. I think it's obvious, like Chelsea, that they need to improve defensively as well. We can start. Well, actually, I'll quickly backtrack. We'll start with who they've signed so far already. They've signed Nathan Ake, 40 million, and also from
Torres.
Yeah, Ferran Torres, who I don't know how he's going to turn out in the Premier League. We're yet to see what he's going to do, but I guess he's sort of a David Silva-like.
Backup.
Yeah.
He's a backup winger.
They've sold on Leroy Sané. he can maybe slot in there, but he looks sort of more slight in his body appearance. So we said that when David Silva came into the Premier League. Is he going to be able to cope physically? And obviously, yes, that was he more than was able to cope. So I don't know if he's that. Go on.
I was just saying with the comparisons to David Silva, I don't think he's come in to replace David Silva. I think they want to do that with Phil Foden.
Yeah.
So I do think Torres is gonna probably sit on. He's gonna be a benched winger. He's gonna be behind Bernardo Silva and Sterling and the likes of those and Mahrez for now. So.
Yeah.
But
so
sorry, when you look at Ake, I think maybe he's good, but I think they should be going for an even better quality of the partner that they want to pair up with Laporte. I think Ake should be a backup.
Yeah, well, we'll wait. We'll have to wait and see to see if they bring anyone in of better quality at centre back. There was Koulibaly mentioned in there, although I don't know if his ball playing skills would translate to what Guardiola wants to play at City, or what they are playing at the moment at City. Obviously, he's a great defender, but he wants that ball playing centre back. Guardiola, Nathan Ake, he's good with his feet. He can play passes very well. But defensively, there are question marks over him. I don't know if his percentage of duels of winning headers against other strikers in the Premier League, I don't think that was all that spectacular. He's not. I think he's only 5'11" as well. He's not necessarily the tallest of defenders. His pace helps him to recover in certain situations. But I think he's a very last-ditch sort of style defender, and that's not what City needs. City need a calm, composed centre-back who's not going to make sort of any errors, and someone that will match Laporte in terms of quality at the back if they want to really push Liverpool again for the title.
100%. I agree, and I think if we're looking at City, question marks over Benjamin Mendy, in my opinion. Also question marks about Kyle Walker kicking on, and João Cancelo should be able to do the job. So I think maybe more looking at left back as well for City.
Yeah, and again, as we mentioned previously, the left back market isn't, full of stock, I guess we could say.
Exactly.
They're interested in him either. That would be interesting to see Chelsea and City get into a bidding war for him, to see the price he could go for. But you mentioned Alex Telles, potentially. I'm trying to think of maybe some Spanish fullbacks that Guardiola maybe would have connections with as well. Alba, he's getting on though. I don't know if they'd sign him. It'd be interesting to see what they do. But if they don't buy someone at centre back, I'll be very happy going into next season. I mean, they still have enormous quality littered in their squad, so I think they're more than capable of challenging. But I think when they didn't replace Vincent Kompany when he left, that was a massive mistake, and I think they've been ruining that for a while now. I think they'll sell on. I think they're going to try and sell on not Phil Jones. What's his name? Stones. Stones and Jones. Yeah, Stones. I think they're going to try.
I think they will sell Otamendi as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So City need to improve defensively. I don't know where else they can improve.
Gabriel. I mean, they're good everywhere else.
Is going to, I think, eventually replace Aguero up front, who's aging a bit but still producing the numbers, even though he is a bit injury prone. He does have his injuries here and there, but still puts up incredible numbers throughout every season he's been in the Premier League. So, should we move on to Liverpool as our last team to see where they improve for next season? Sort of round that.
I mean, I mean, like, the obvious thing would be you might as well get greedy with it. I mean, Joe Gomez is good, but if you can get an even better defender, then fantastic. And if you can maybe replace like Milner and Wijnaldum with some even better players, then also fantastic. But like I said, that's just being greedy with it. Your team's already pretty perfect, you'd have to say. I guess the only thing you'd want to switch out of it is the bench, make it a little bit more, have a bit more squad depth so you can maybe not just win the Premier League, but in the same season win like the Premier League and the FA Cup, or the Premier League and blah blah blah. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, getting rid of Shaqiri, that sort of thing. Maybe even getting rid of Origi, but I know he is a bit of a cult hero,
Yeah.
so I'm not too sure about that one.
Or Divock.
Obviously you've got rid of Lallana now as well.
Yeah.
Promoting some youth players is a good idea. Obviously they won't be fantastic straight from the get go, and some aren't going to work out. That's just the way life goes with youth players. But you got to give it a shot.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You can't. Liverpool don't need to sign an enormous amount of players. It's sort of like United when they were under Ferguson winning all the titles. He'd add one or two each
Yeah,
season. And I think that's what we need to do in a way, is add those sort of players, and let them gel into the squad nicely, and then filter out your Shakiris, your Lallanas, and then have that cycle sort of running through, so it's nice and smooth. There's no sort of disruption in terms of the squad and the way they're playing. So we do have to be careful though. Losing Lallana, a big presence in the dressing room, obviously sort of Henderson's right wing go-to guy as well.
yeah,
Thierry, when he has played, he's had his injuries and stuff, and maybe been out of favour as well with Klopp. But he has had some big performances for us as well in the Champions League against Barcelona in that famous semi-final at Anfield. I also think back to the Merseyside derbies when he plays, when we beat Everton 5-2. He comes on, scores a goal. I think he also maybe gets an assist in that as well. So when he does play, he has been important for us. He stepped up to the plate. Um, but as you mentioned, we have some youth players coming through. Curtis Jones, he's had his bright sparks, his moments throughout the season. You're also looking at Harvey Elliott coming up through the ranks. So we have to give those players a chance, and I think Klopp has done that very well, integrated them into the squad. We spoke about Jamal Lewis previously as well. He'll be good as backup at left back, which I think we've needed. So he'll be a great addition to the squad. Thiago, as you said, if we want to get
yeah.
greedy, add him to our long list of midfielders. So I guess we do have Lallana leaving, so that's another midfielder to sort of replace him. And
Yeah, obviously Wijnaldum comes out the squad for Thiago. I think that's a no-brainer.
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. Everyone,
No, Henderson's your captain and Fabinho's your defensive midfielder. I think it's logical.
yeah, but Thiago I think would come in for Wijnaldum. But then again, Gini Wijnaldum has been superb the last couple of seasons. His levels of consistency. He just never loses the ball in midfield, and his pressing off the ball as well defensively. We can't underestimate what he does for the squad, even though his goal tally and assist tally may not necessarily reflect his impact.
Well, it's the same for your whole midfield though. Like the last season, I'm pretty sure their goal and assist tally wasn't great because statistically, you guys actually barely use your midfield when you attack. You sort of go straight from fullback to attackers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's in that sense, it might choke Thiago a bit if he's not getting a lot of the ball because you guys don't tend to play through the midfield a lot. But at the same time, like if you do ever need that option, like having him is not a bad thing.
Yeah. No, It's it's a good situation for Liverpool to be in, and I must say
Yeah,
it's a fantastic time to be a Red. Yeah,
fair enough.
that's I guess we'll sort of round it up for today. We could have touched on Europa League, but maybe we'll.
Well, I mean, if I was gonna say if I just say something quickly about that, then United average against an average team,
Yeah,
get the result. It was just don't get humiliated. I think because we're already up 5-0. Just like go out there and get the job done. When you look at other teams, I think it was results you sort of expected. Inter beating Getafe, Copenhagen beating Besiktas, and then Wolves beating Olympiacos. I guess the only real big game was Sevilla beating Roma, and even that was fairly comfortable for Sevilla. But like you said, we'll do predictions for the next sets of games coming up. But all around, I think when you look at the Europa League, it's pretty much what you would expect it to happen happened.
Yeah.
No surprises.
No, not really. And I think that the caliber of teams going into the final stages of the Europa League is decent this season. Man United, you got Wolves as well, Inter Milan, Sevilla. So there's some top quality sides in that. So I think that that'll be good for the
Leverkusen as well
too, who beat Stevie G's Rangers. I think that was gonna happen because they were 3-1 down from the first leg anyway. So, but yeah, we'll preview that in the next podcast, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks for joining me today.
No worries.
Good chat.
Always fun to be on.
Yeah. And yeah, everyone, if you made it this far, thank you very much. An hour and 10 minutes. That's dedication. Yeah, we'll be bringing out some more content soon, all football related. As we sort of mentioned in previous podcasts, maybe come out with some FIFA videos as well. Who knows? FIFA 21's coming out soon, so maybe we'll take a dive into that as well.
And I was just gonna say, like, maybe just let us know if you like having seeing our faces, or if you're rather just the audio. Leave a comment, let us know. Obviously, share it with your friends. We'd like some support. Any support that you can give us.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I'll echo that point. And yeah, like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah.